God bless you. Thank you for joining us here at the Temple of Clarity. Really, the Temple of Joy today. It just seems like the vibration has been raised to a joy and a celebration. Many things are happening. There are planets aligned. Good things are coming your way. Good things. When things align like that in your life, then you know you're at the right place at the right time. Something good will happen tonight. When we're tuning in to the good thing, which is this divine current of love streaming from the Divine Mother, from the heart of her love for her children, we're all lifted up beyond our minds, beyond our situations, into a place of light, of freedom, of peace, of acceptance, and just the knowing that you are taken care of. Everything is as it should be. Everything is working out for your highest good. Everything is in line for the greatest expansion of your soul, to realize this love, to drop into its bliss and joy, is the journey, is the path. And that is why we meditate. It's mind control and soul power. It takes soul power, psychic power, to stop the mind from thinking, to be still, to go beyond what you see, hear, feel, and step into the spirit of your higher self, of the I am that I am, of the eternal self, your God self. Let's start this meditation with a prayer as we close our eyes to this world and we lift up our spiritual eye, so to speak, and we see with the eye of the soul clearly the totality of what is real. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend, beloved God, by all your holy names, by all your holy forms, by all the divine manifestations, east and west, beloved Lakshmi, Narayani, Durga, Saraswati, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, beloved Venus, beloved Omega, all the divine mothers of heaven, and the Father, and all your sons. We open this door between heaven and earth as we align ourselves with all the stars, with all of our star family, with all those bright ones who are shining the God light, the God energy, the God love here on this planet. And we are taken, lifted, raised in God consciousness and awareness of this love that is permeating every particle of matter. Every place in the universe is now filled with this light, this love, this frequency. And we too add our soul love, spirit essence, God's substance into this ever expanding field of joy. Come, O great ones, come into this room. Be with us. back. 2 days ago, Elizabeth was in the Great Pyramid. And she did a ceremony for us. We're going to tie into that now. As we all place our consciousness over Cairo, Egypt, and the Great Pyramid. And we see it in its original perfected golden new form, as it was when it was built, before it was weathered. And above the pyramid are the 3 stars, Orion's belt, perfectly aligned. You hear your name called as you enter into the door and climb through the dark tunnel to the king's chamber, where you are greeted by the masters dressed in white and asked to sit and lay down in the sarcophagus. As this is your ascension day, this is the day that you merge in the great union of the I Am. There is chanting, there is the sound of the angel wings as they begin to create this spiral energy through the top of the pyramid, through all the stars, and beyond. This light, this beautiful holy light pulls you in, and you are lifted into a blazing God reality, just like you were born in. There around you, surrounding you, are the divine mothers holding this immaculate concept, seeing you as you were created. This light of love, this beautiful gift to humanity in time and space. Now, from every corner of the world, in every corner of the universe, calling it back, all the good things that you have ever done, every kind word, every bit of wisdom that you gathered, every love that you expressed in any way, in any form, in any matter, is now returning to you in this light body being formed in the pyramid. In the pyramid, growing brighter and brighter, larger and larger, and finally, there is a song, the song of your soul, the song that is pulling you home, and you look up into the eyes of God, yourself, and you are merged in that instant, in that twinkling of an eye. You now are one with your higher self. And from the top of the pyramid, a beam of light so powerful shoots up into the stars above. And everyone in heaven knows. Everyone in heaven sees. And the Mother Earth herself says, "This is my daughter. This is my son. It is finished." The pyramid is a giant ascension machine created for this very purpose. And Elizabeth put this energy in there for us as she transmitted it just a couple days ago. Testing, testing. Last week, the mic wasn't working. Just to say a few things about the ascension. Yeah, it's on. And the pyramids. It is said that there were pyramids in Atlantis, similarly, like the ones in Egypt and Mexico and Peru and other places that are on these ley lines, that are on Mother Earth herself, these places that are energetically placed so that these currents can be brought in from the earth and from the stars, mainly from the center of the Milky Way, where the great central sun is. They thought it was a black hole, but it is so much light hidden from the view of the unconscious. There's always a place you can go in meditation that will pull you up higher, like the pyramid in Giza, into a seeing of everything, all your past lives, all your agreements, what your dharma is. How far along are you in fulfilling your mission? Your purpose. And even get a glimpse on that day where your name will be called to step into that eternal flame of spirit, of love, of source energy, and merge completely and permanently with the divine. Like a god, like a goddess that you are. And the ego will be liberated. And a new name will be given to you. The inner name. The name that God gave you. In some of the secret societies, like the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians, they reenact this ceremony through plays and other ceremonies. And it's good to see it, visualize it, co-create it. In that way, you can accelerate it. That way, when your name is called, you'll just know exactly what's going to happen. So around the earth, there are like these ascension places. One of them's in Fatima. One of them's in Mexico City. One of them's in Peru. One of them's in Cairo, Egypt. I even think there's one somewhere in India. Probably where the Buddha made his ascension. Many, many other places. And I'm told it's a fun ride. Like it's a fun experience. Take that ride. It's an e-ticket. A Disneyland e-ticket. So thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for sending me that energy and that message a couple days ago. Thank you for thinking of us. And I think, in our group, if we go somewhere, we bring everyone with us, right? We bring everyone with us. I know I did when I was with Ramana and at the ashram, some of the ceremonies. And I knew on that Tuesday everybody'd be meditating, but it was instead of 7:30 p.m., it was 7:30 a.m. in India the next day or the previous day, something like that. It was so backwards, so I didn't know what. We weren't sleeping anyways. It was just, the energy was just too high. And I was thinking back some of my journeys, some of my experiences with my teacher, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, where the power of these messages were so off the Richter scale that I knew I was in the presence of the living God. And it was such a high vibrational thing. And I've always compared places and things to what those high points I had in those experiences, in those sessions I had with her. Some things happen so rarely that we really just have to just be in the moment to take it in and bring that experience into the present moment. Appreciate each one. So Carlos, I have a little gift for you from India. I know you wanted to go. Maybe you'll go next time I go. You would have really enjoyed it. You would have really enjoyed it. Nobody got sick. We stayed at the ashram. The food was good. And I know that there are places that, like some ashrams maybe were not catering to the Westerner. Like this one was like it was a brand new building. I think it was built 10 years ago and had modern toilets and an elevator, and it was clean. The beds were comfortable. The food was great, and it was really set up for Westerners to come at Sri Shakti Amma's place. Now, some of them that I went to, like Ramana Maharishi's, they didn't have an ashram there, but the ashram itself was pretty basic, very powerful. Some of the other ones, very basic, like really roughing it. And someone told me, always bring a pillow to sit on, because there's no chairs. You sit on the floor there, and so if you want to be comfortable, and they do it every day. And like you go to these temples, you have to take your shoes off and go barefoot. My feet were so sore the whole time. Some places you had to walk across the blazing, burning, hot street barefoot to get to the next place. And Marcos could do it. I was running. I was jumping. I was looking for some place with shade, and I had to stop sometimes, get there. And the people in India, that's just another day. They've been doing it their whole life. So those kind of life lessons there. And I noticed that their feet look like, they have real calluses. They don't know that the ground is probably 150 degrees. If it's 90 degrees temperature, the ground heats up and it just gets hotter and hotter. You could cook an egg on that floor. My feet, one lady got blisters, she had to go to the doctor in our group. So I brought you a gift from Ramana Maharishi and something from Sri Shakti Amma, and also you, Lori. So a little energy transmission in that little picture I have of him. And I would say the Ramana Maharishi ashram was the most potent place. Some of the bigger temples were, magnificent, amazing, and they were designed like the pyramids, like Tirunelveli, with the big 4 columns, like a big ascension portal place, with the giant copper like nodes that were gigantic in the middle of the columns. And I was going, what is the purpose of this? I didn't see it at the time because it was so hot and I was so uncomfortable. But now, it makes sense. That's what they were doing. They were making these places where people can just merge with their higher self. They were gigantic. I didn't think they had the knowledge to do that, 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, whenever they built these things. Somehow, they didn't have bulldozers or forklifts or, how they carry those heavy things up. It's impossible. I think they can't even build the pyramid today if they wanted to. Which is, mind-blowing to understand how can it be that with all of our technology, we can go to the moon. We got a little robot on Mars. We got a drone flying around on Mars that they can control. It takes off and lands and takes pictures, sends the pictures back to us. But they can't do the pyramid. It's too big. Well, anyways. I guess these mysteries make life more interesting, more adventurous. When you go see them and you just are in awe and wonder, and then to feel it, how we do that. Us light workers, we feel it and go, okay, this is angels working here. This is a master working here. This is the Divine Mother working here. Something holy has happened here. All those many tens of thousands of sadhus, swamis, rishis, maharishis, great ones walked here. And Ramana Maharishi's ashram is like amazing. Amazing.
And his portrait holds that energy. I have to bow to it every time I walk past. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But every time
Let me give you the mic.
Oh.
Let's see. Can you see it? I don't see it.
Yeah.
Should be on.
No.
Is there an on button?
I'm on now? Yes. Oh, I was just, Dennis, we received our gifts, those of us who were here last week, we received our divine gifts from India, from Swami Dennis last week. And the little picture of Ramana Maharishi, the energy is so powerful coming from it that every time I go past, I have to bow. It's just incredible. So thanks again, Swami.
Well, I guess they're waiting for their gift. I'll go get it.
Hope I didn't spoil the surprise too much. I think you already said something about it. While you're waiting, I will say that lots of what you described about being in the pyramid is true. So I was blessed 30 years ago. I was invited to take a group of 25 of my students into the pyramid. They kicked everybody out. I felt terrible, but not terrible enough to tell them not to do it. It was the day of a full moon and a lunar eclipse. And so I took them all into the pit, which is the lowest level of the pyramid, and it's all granite and not smoothed out or anything. So I had us all release all of our rubbish, all of our baggage into the granite. Then we went to the Queen's Chamber and I had them do past life regressions into their Egyptian lifetimes. Then the King's Chamber, I did initiations into Egyptian mastery, higher than a kite. It's just, felt like the top was coming off and, blasting us out there. It was just amazing.
I can't wait to hear what Elizabeth has to say about her experience, because the energy from her little text was pretty powerful. Lisa, you went in the pyramid. Yep. What was your experience?
Well, we went with 90 people, and we got to go by ourselves as well. It was, you pay money, right? And we walked up the long staircase to the King's Chamber first. First, yeah. And there's an esophagus there. I mean, is that the right word? It's not esophagus, not esophagus. Esophagus? Okay, whatever it is. It's a big concrete or something like that. And it's a rock, half of a something like that. It's very dark rock, big, deep, and we climbed in it, and laid in it, But it wasn't about that initially. Initially, it was about everybody holding hands and feeling the energy and praying, and I believe we had a heart stream from Mother Mary there, and it was very hot, and very holy, and like you say, you have those flashes from past embodiments, and how can you possibly not, because it was such, it's just one of those places that all the ley lines cross or whatever. And then we went to the Queen's Chamber and we got individual blessings from Mother Mary, and it was so holy. That's all I can say. It was just so holy. We didn't go to the basement. We wandered around. And it was beautiful. It was really, really a special event. I'll never forget it. We also went to the Sphinx, and I'm sure that you could get inside if you knew where to go, but we didn't. We just were outside, and we rode camels. It was great. Rode camels all the way around it, and it's a long way down, so you hang on. So.
You go on a camel ride?
I did with Beverly Millett. Yeah, she's from New York. We've been fast friends ever since, hanging on the end of the camel. But yeah, it was a great trip. Lots of fun. And we had a tour guide that had a building right next to the pyramids. So you go to like the top floor and you'd sit in there and you could see the pyramids and you could rest in the shade because it's just hot, and we did a wonderful ascension ceremony up there with, all dressed in white, and we all got blessed, and, it's very interesting. And of course we shopped. We had, went to all the markets and stuff like that. Of course, all the
What did you buy?
The travel agents, nephews and nieces and cousins and uncles, yeah. I bought clothes, yeah. Bunch of clothes. It was fun, and perfume. I still have some of the perfume. But it was really a lot of fun. They had Indian food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which got a little tough for me. But it was wonderful. Really, really a blessed experience, and you just don't forget stuff like that.
The Egyptian perfume, is that in those little fancy bottles?
It is. I got rose perfume, a couple bottles of rose perfume, which I still have some. It's great. And we had, I don't know if this is significant, but there were guys with guns with us all the time in every one of our buses. They wore nice suits and ties and guns. And I told Elizabeth about that, and she's like, really? And when we went to the valley of the Kings. Yeah. We had a Jeep following us that had a machine gun on it. That's right. When there was maybe 9 buses. Everybody got together and did it all at once, you know. So, good. It was just, yeah, this is 2006. So it's a little more recently, and I think they just had some kidnappings or something awful happen, so they were very careful. So it was very hot, but we went to lots of other places too. But
What time of year was it?
fall, in the fall. Yep. It was still hot in the fall too. It's like, but it was good. Would you like to? You want to share it?
Is this very very interesting that, for example, in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico as well, I've been in pyramids that you can, I don't know why they design it, because there is nothing to go into, or maybe some very narrow passages. And the others are with statues or let's say kind of monumental to Quetzalcoatl, that's the plum serpent, but you don't see anything to get into, or maybe they bury it for security, I really don't know. But one of the things that are characteristic in all of them is a vibration of peace, to the point that I felt to go and lean on that ancient trees, because they are so huge, ancient trees. I think they are called ceibas, and the other one is conacaste, but they are very old. One, the characteristic of these trees is that the roots are so big, ingrained into the ground. It's amazing. One feel like that, in that roots. So what is the purpose of that trees in that places, and who plant them then? But the thing is that I just felt like to lean on them, and I fall asleep without effort. It's a peace. It's a peace, a vibration of peace. And that was, that for me was, what is the purpose of this? And that time I was there is in Montalban, Oaxaca. In Oaxaca. I don't know what they were doing there. You know, really, I don't know what they were doing there. But the moment you said, "Whoa," you are immediately transported to what? To zero. Zero processing the mind, zero emotions. You just feel like you remind me that, Lori, when you just sit down and meditate, zero in one go like that. It's just amazing, you know, and there are underground passages there, without doubt, right? Oh.
Interesting enough, we had a presentation about Quetzalcoatl last weekend when David and a bunch of people were down in Mexico. And Quetzalcoatl, this one individual gave a whole presentation on it, and he is actually a historic figure that is a white man. He's a white man. And at the end of it, the conclusion was that it was Jesus. And then Jesus gave a heart stream and confirmed that it was him. And his purpose was to train people up so that they could be, priests and priestesses to raise humanity up, And to this day, he's considered sacred. Pretty good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
And Quetzalcoatl is, Quetzal is the bird. Coatl is the snake. It's the structure of man. Man flies with his spirit, but the body is subject to the gravity. Snake. And they say that they came from Egypt. That is where the flying serpent started. From Egypt. Well, another thing is the Mayans, they weren't dark people. They were white people with big nose, and they were actually white. Very powerful beings, and there were different kind of Mayas, because the ones that, the real Mayas, and that, they were big ones, big guys, and with the blue eyes, and but they disappear. All of them disappear. You don't find them at all. You find what some people say, the degeneration of the Mayans, the short ones, and they are like, they look alike everybody, but the other ones, they say that ascend as a whole. All of them, you don't find them. Probably they are there, but in another dimension of existence. That could be, and the pyramids still, they are functioning, but not in the way we think. They are different dimensions. Well, it's curious.
It was interesting, Carlos, just to ask you, so when they found Mexico City, they were walking, because there was a prophecy about a bird and an eagle and a snake.
Yeah, you see?
And that's on the flag, right?
Yes, that's on the flag. You see the similarities.
Yeah.
And like this, there are similarities in languages too. For example, the Apaches in Arizona, they speak Nahuatl, the language of El Salvador Indians. Really? Yeah. Do you remember Ed Lister, the Apache that came here with me? He has a sister which is actually very informed in how to change the diet for the Indian, because the Indian likes plenty of nowadays pizzas, Pizza Hut, Coca-Cola and
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, all that stuff. But then she said that she went to El Salvador for a kind of meeting with any NGOs or something like that. She could speak to the people in Apache language. I don't know how they call that language, but they could understand each other.
So interesting.
So there are links that they are, but they haven't being stimulated anymore. Actually, the so-called progress or governments try to cut them to integrate them in society.
There's a book, I don't remember the name of it, but it was about Atlantis and how they had not spaceships, but flying ships, like our airplanes.
Yeah.
And so, but it was powered by crystals, like it's generator. They would tie into it and they'd fly all over. And so from the continent of Atlantis, they went to Egypt and built the pyramid there. Then they went to Peru and built a couple things there. Went to, Mexico, built a couple things there. They went all over the place and built these. And that's kind of like the missing link when it sank.
So there were actually Atlantean symbols found in the pyramids on jewelry. Like a ring that has Atlantean symbols on it was found in one of the tombs in Egypt. Yes. And Atlantis is right where Plato said it was, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is the Canary Islands. If you ever have an opportunity to go to the Canary Islands, you set foot on it and you can feel Atlantis everywhere. And they have some statues of Neptune and stuff like that. But it's, and all of the people, you ask them and say, of course, it was Atlantis. Like, we're here. I mean, what, you know? So they can stop looking for it because that's where it was. And they have a, you know, a horseshoe from a huge volcano that erupted, that a huge bay, you know, where you can see where it could easily have been the circular land that they had, and it's obvious.
I've been to Canary Islands.
Yeah. Did you feel
And-
the energy?
Yeah, it's amazing. They don't build like this. They build
Yeah.
like that. So you see a normal house like this, you go in, but instead of coming to a living room like that, you go down. They live on the ground.
Why? Because
Be-
Volcanoes.
volcanoes.
There's
there
still
is
active
rocks.
volcanoes.
They're beautiful, the way they have the living rooms. But another thing is very strange is that they talk like us. They don't talk like Spanish people, accent and anything else. They talk like Salvadoreños. Yeah, Salvadoreñas, like me. Is it about Salvadoreñas? But Salvadoreñas is okay, but that is they talk like us.
That's very interesting.
It's interesting, eh? And well, another thing is, do you remember that race called the Masmas?
no.
The Masmas of Peru. There are. Well, what I want to make is the relation with Joshua Tree. In Joshua Tree, you will see the boulders, you will see dinosaurs, you see the faces of people. It's amazing. That rocks 50 million years ago was that. But the Masmas in Peru, somewhere, I don't recall where, they had the same formations. Faces, animals. And they say that this civilization can go travel long distances underground. It reminds me also, do you remember the what is the name?
Jorge Delgado.
No. Saint Germain.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day he just all these people
Oh yeah, under
they
the
came
ground.
underground.
Yeah.
They travel anywhere on the planet.
If you want to read about that, there's a book on the Heart Center website.
Yeah.
Something about Transylvania. I think there's a couple of books, as a matter of fact. It talks
I think Godfrey is talking about that. Godfrey is talking. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it
in the
wasn't
I Am Presence, the
Yeah.
Magic Presence book.
the books you lent me. Remember some time ago,
Yeah.
so years ago. But anyway, I was really linking the Masmas and all this. And we are going back to the pyramids. I think they are stations of transportation also on the ground. Stations of transportation on the ground.
Subways.
Subways.
if you outside of Mexico is a bunch of pyramids, and they look exactly like landing pads. There's some that are tall, pointy ones, but there's a whole line of them that are flat top. Yeah, right. And it definitely was some kind of a destination point for landing, in my opinion.
Maybe the Atlanteans, they like to go on vacations.
Right.
Let's go to Mexico. Let's go to Acapulco.
Could
go,
have been.
you
Could have
know.
been. I didn't ever think of that, but yeah.
Vacation. I get bored over there. Let's go somewhere else.
I
The
think-
weather's better.
I think that there have been many ancient civilizations. They talk about one in the Gobi Desert. It is the Gobi Desert now, but it didn't used to be the Gobi Desert. And the Theosophical Society talks about it. I think there's a lot that we can learn if you desire to spend the time studying.
Yeah, we're just learning to take vacations now. You know, the
Again.
planes, we've only been flying for like 100 years. So safely, maybe the last 20 or 15.
I want to
So-
hear about Lori's vacation. Didn't you go to France?
Oh, I'm going
Oh, okay.
in May.
Oh, in May. Okay. We're going with you.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Fine with me.
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing trip. Mary Magdalene, Divine Mother.
I think that the modern transportation, though, is very convenient for us because distances are amazing. But it erases also qualities in us to dimensions which give us accessibility, give us access to fly not physically, but Dennis mentioned the mind today early about the meditation is to control the mind. Well, to me came another word in what you said, which is when the higher self take over the mind. Because the thing is, to me, is that when we control the mind, we are doing it with our capacity to make the changeable, to make it, which is nothing wrong, of course. I'm not talking about right or wrong. But when I remember that Gurdjieff, maybe you heard about him, and also Einstein, he says, I have reached what I had done in physics and in discovering in mathematics and physics is because I was in the shoulders of a giant. The shoulders of a giant. So he wasn't he. He is being lifted up. And this is what I
Which
so
is why so many of them believe in the unseen.
in the what?
The unseen. They believe in the other side.
Yes, yeah.
Because they know.
Yeah.
They hear
Yes, yeah.
information from the other side.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I feel, not that I am against guided meditations, because my mind trying to follow, I become guru and I become, it's too much for me. I get saturated. For other people, might be right. But for me, it's only block to drop. And it's the resonance from what you are telling, or is being guided, I get into that. I don't have to follow all. I think this is my feeling, right? It's an experience, because it's an experience. And that is how, if I sit down and I try to follow the sun and this and that, I don't. I fell asleep. But in this one, no, it's just sinking into it. Like something else take over. It's the opening to take something opens up, or pull me up, or whatever it is. I step into a horse. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's funny. It's funny that meditation is also so universal, but the universality of it is actually dropping into to that space of the higher self, which is the all wise in us. It's the mighty I am presence. It's the Christ in us. You know? You don't have to follow any commandment or anything. Drop there. He will take over. You won't sin. You won't be sinful. You know, sinning or doing wrong. There is no wrong there. You know? And I think that was also the power of the pyramids. The pyramids were temples of learning into that presence that live in ourselves. And that is what in my mind now is taking over, that the churches were designed also for that purpose. With all the glasses and the color of the windows, and that you have to look up, not down. Down is to fall in the center and grounding yourself, going into your knees, putting the hands together. But actually, the altar, you look up. The windows, you look up. Look, we open the throat chakra. To let it go, grounding in the, you know, there is a significance that I follow in that. But anyway, the temples you were talking about, they are nuclear. Nuclear, I mean to say that they are attracting a power there, powered by the ceremonies, invited by the ceremonies. That is amazing. Do you have to say something?
No, I haven't been to either, any of the places. Oh, I've been to India, but not to Chennai. But I'm just very interested in hearing what you have to say.
But what I mean, Lori, is because you are very, very skilled, and don't say skilled, in dropping that state.
I'm dropping into the state, well, I just do. I don't know how it happens. It just goes. That's where I
Okay.
go to. But, give it a mic.
Because that's why you initiated into that. I'm learning into that with you, because how is it that transmedium click happens?
Well, I've always been told that transmediumship is a receptive, not an active type of mediumship. So instead of purposely taking your mind up to the intermediary between heaven and earth, or the other side, the faster vibrating individuals and us, we just allow ourselves to be taken to where we need to go. And that's why any trance medium will have a specific team of spirits who work with them for nothing else but for trance. There are others, you have your guides, your regular guides, but you also have a team that are very specific for trance, because they have, doctors and scientists who can monitor the functions of the human form while they're doing that. They know what's safe, they know what's, what isn't, and they're constantly, would never hurt anyone, but they are monitoring everything, and they bring you down to where you can go, and they don't do it too fast. So it's taken me, I've been doing this type of meditation now for 15 years, and I'm pretty fast at it now. I just kind of drop. And it's because I don't do anything. I just kind of put myself in a place of, okay, go ahead, whatever you want to do, and then I'm gone. Interesting enough, when I was at the Monroe Institute years ago, and they had a special chamber where they did recordings. Monroe Institute does a lot of meditations, and they take you through the various levels. But there again, I wasn't actively doing these things. I was just letting myself float to wherever they are. But they had this one, it was extra cash, but I felt it was right. And they actually put electrodes all over you so that they could monitor your electrical reflexes, your brain, everything. And then they put you in a room by yourself on a waterbed with this huge clear crystal hanging
On a
over
waterbed?
on a waterbed. Wow. With this pure clear crystal hanging over your head. Okay? Huge, huge one. And there are radio receptors in the room, so if you talk out loud, they will hear you. Well, the first time I ever did this, I had a fabulous adventure, but I never said anything out loud, so all they had was, yeah, you dropped down to like, we've never seen anybody drop so fast down to theta, and then you just bounced along there till it was time to come up. So the second time I went, I decided that I would speak out loud what I was experiencing so that I could capture it. And they give you a disc when you come home. I have no idea where it is right now, but they give you a disc and you get to describe, you know, what you're feeling, what you're sensing. And again, I felt myself go, you know, down into this trance-like state. And I actually felt myself going under the water, down very, very deep. And there was sand, which was how I was imagining it. And there was something underneath the sand, and I moved it with my feet. You know, I moved the sand off of it. And it looked like a huge seal to a door, you know, a big main front entrance gate door. And I went, is this Lemuria? Because I knew that I had lives in Lemuria. They said, no, this is Atlantis. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. I said, you know, what are we doing? And they said, well, we're doing a rescue mission because there were people at the time of the destruction of Atlantis who got caught and are still lying. Their consciousness is still on the bottom of the sea down there. And they want to bring everybody up to where they need to be with the rest of themselves. They were just fragments of individuals. And so I heard one of my guides call out, Ali Alex, Oxenfree, you know. Not
Come out wherever you are.
Come out from wherever you are. And I've started to feel presences coming out. And one by one, it's almost like they landed and attached to me. I was the vessel who was going to take them back up. And finally, at the end, there was one more that was left, and that one was so broken and damaged that they had him in a big eggshell, sort of like, you know, we saw it in one of those movies ages ago. I'm trying to, excuse me? Cocoon, yes, in Cocoon. And that part of the soul was cocooned in there because they were so broken and damaged, they were really afraid. And so they loaded that one on board, and slowly but surely I felt myself with all my guests rising up through the bottom of, you know, the water, and then up through the levels of the higher realms. And there was one we got to and stopped, and it was like the door opened up and a number of people got off. And then we went up, you know, to a few more levels, and the door opened up and a few more people got off. You know, it was all. And then at last I was just with this one egg, okay, and we went all the way to the top. And when the doors opened up there, this huge medical team came in, grabbed the egg very carefully, and started moving it and taking, don't worry, everything's all right, we've got it, it'll be fine. And I was like, wow. Well, I was getting a running conversation from my guides as I was doing this. And apparently, the person who had their piece in the egg that went to the top was Archangel Raziel. He had had a life on Atlantis towards the end, when it was starting to look like it was going to blow itself up. And he was a scientist, and he was trying to save the world. And no, I apparently was there too, but he sent me off. He said, nope, this is for me to do. You get out of here, go. And till the time that everything exploded, he was there trying to deactivate what was going to happen. So he was just like shattered. And one of the pieces they weren't able to, recover, which was the one down at the bottom that we recovered on that trip. And I know that I have always had a problem with getting into water where I can't see the bottom. It's always been an issue for me. But Raziel, the others were saying, that maybe somebody else would be better because she's afraid to go down. He said, no, she's the only one. I know she can do it. And so he asked my higher self if I would do this, and I said yes. I had no idea about this until I was actually going through it. But somewhere I have a CD or something that has my experience on it, because I made sure I wanted to say it out loud so that everybody, I could remember it at some point. And the electrodes showed that I went immediately down to the bottom and was all the way along, theta stream until, the end when it was all over with, and I just went like this. So it wasn't one of these like this and back up and, at an angle. It was like down and straight along the bottom and then up. And I just found it very, very interesting. I mean, I didn't really remember too much about that life, although I do remember sort of like the final scene in the movie where I'm being told, get out of here. This is going to go. Get out of here, save yourself. And I'm going to take care of this. I'm going, but you have to, no, go. And he shoved me out the door.
Do you remember where you went?
No, I don't. I don't remember. All I got was that last little scene where he's shoving me out the door and telling me to get out of there because it was going to blow and get as far away as I possibly could. So.
I did research for the Monroe Institute.
Oh.
And so I got to be in that room once. And unlike you going down, I shot out. And they got really concerned because I was off of their charts. So off of their Richter scale. And my mother started saying, Lori, come back. Like, why? Are you kidding me? Just because you don't know where this is doesn't mean I'm not supposed to be there. And I guess I was out there for a while, and then a storm came, and she was afraid I was going to be electrocuted. And so, come back now. You have to come back now. It's like, okay. And she said, well, you shot out so fast. We just called you back in really quickly. Okay.
Sounds like a fun ride.
Oh, it was great. She was
Yeah.
very wise.
This sounds very familiar to what Ramana Awakening, who will be here next Tuesday, does. He does a thing. I had a session with him 10 years ago, and I didn't know I thought I was just going to have this conversation, but he's sticking things all over my head and places, and he's asking me questions, and there's this thing going up and down. He says, what's your name? Where do you live? And he's making all these notes and stuff like that. And that was the session that, like he does. And he's from, he lives in Terranamali. He lives, his house is there. He's visiting his sister right here. And he'll be here next Tuesday. So he says it's going to be an awakening experience. And the private sessions are those sessions where he has this like a heart math machine or some other things. And not to spoil it for you, but for you all, but it's like mind blowing. That's the thing. It's, how can you get past the mind? And through this like series of questions that he does and the transmission that he gives, that's, you know, like what happens in these sessions. So we'll have a little taste of that next Tuesday. And I think we're just going to sign off, since we're, you know, signing off right now. For those people online, come if you can on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Check it out. I know Lisa's going to be in San Francisco. Try to be here if you can. Ramana is a real Swami. He got up at 3 a.m. for like 10 years to climb the mountain Arunachala to help this other Swami do a ceremony, puja, and then that was his life. You know, that was what he did, and he's trying to get back to. He was going to do something last year. I don't know if you remember, but then he fell and broke some bones, and he had to heal from that. And then I had that Kundalini syndrome thing, and I says, I can't handle any events right now. I'm sorry. And so, and coincidentally, when I booked my ticket to India, and I was talking to Stephen Berkeley about going to turn Arunachala, he calls me on the phone. And, you know, so the whole thing, this kind of, you know, the Divine Mother is so funny how she arranges all this stuff. So this, you know, I'm expecting a very powerful session here on Tuesday. Are you going to come, Carlos? Yeah. So this is like a real treat. He wants to do a workshop, and you know, I'm fine with that too. And it's like a 3-day intensive where I guess we're going to turn this house or one of the rooms into a laboratory with all these electronics and things that he does. And I think he has a background in nursing or something like that. And he's done this for cancer patients in hospitals. As part, you'll get the whole story from him, and he'll lead us into a meditation, and it's going to be mind-blowing in a good way. Good night, everybody. We want to thank you, Divine Mother, all the masters, all the beings of light that are here, that generate this energy of peace, of clarity. To you, Lady Clarity. To you, beloved Sanat Kumara and Lady Master Venus, and all the Venusians. To all the great ones, the ones from Atlantis who held that continent in the spiritual light for centuries and centuries, bringing this higher wisdom, maintaining this higher wisdom, keeping it going for as long as you could, building the pyramids and other places for us, into all the Christic and Buddhic beings who serve the good for the growth of the Divine Mother, for Gaia, for this universe. We thank you, and good night.